We are going to jump into your database is your Goldmine today. And as always, if you have any questions, I do have the chat box open, or you could just unmute yourself and ask your question or raise your little hand. There's a little gesture there you can utilize as well to interact with me during this. And let's dive in. So our objectives today is why the database is the foundation of your business, the 4 irrefutable laws of managing your database, the circles of opportunities to build your database, and how to get predictable business from your database, which is where we're going to spend most of our time, is hanging out in that how to get predictable business. So the importance of the database, it is the core of your business, right? So it's your database that's going to help you generate a steady stream of business by how you interact with them. So number one, you have to have a database in order for it to be successful. So you actually have to utilize a system. And people always ask me, well, which one's the best one? There is no best one. It's whichever one you're going to use. Not that I'm going to call Shannon out or anything, but we've had lots of different database systems, Shannon and I. And she's had reluctancy to adopt any of them. And then she recently came across a different one. And she's like, I like this one. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles, but it's very user-friendly and I can get in there and manage it. So it doesn't matter what database you use. It could be like Boomtown. It could be Sync. It could be Brivity. It could be the Real Suite that we get free along with Boomtown, right? Through Realty One. It doesn't matter. Just make sure that you feel comfortable with it and you're going to use it. And then we got to put our people in to that database, and then we have to interact with them. And that's how we get the results from our database. The other thing about having your database and working it consistently is it becomes a saleable asset in the future. So if at some point you decide you want to retire from real estate, or maybe you're out of the area and you want to hand that off to somebody, if you can prove predictable results from your database and you have those people that you can just hand off to somebody, you can actually sell your business to somebody else. So a well-maintained database should be part of your short, mid, and long-term goals. It can be your exit strategy and your retirement plan when you are ready. Okay, what can a database deliver? Statistics show that a seasoned database of people or connections, when you connect with them between 30 to 40 times a year, which include connections of email, personal touches, social media, direct mail, are going to result in consistent long-term referral-based business. Once that database is established and properly seasoned, you can expect 70 to 80% of your business to come from repeat and referral customers for the life of your career. And in some cases, even some people have 100% of agents' business being repeat and referral. Okay, who wants to stop lead genning for random cold people, right? Everybody. So you can rely on your database to produce revenue for you consistently year in and year out if you maintain it properly. It can take 6 to 12 months to season a contact. So it could take a little while to get them seasoned. And then statistics say that it's a 12-to-1 return, which means for every 12 people in your database, you're going to get 1 transaction. Okay, so every 12 people in your database. So think about how many transactions you want this next year. And do you have that in your database? And are you interacting with them on a consistent, reliable basis? So that's kind of where we're at. So you've got to plan your work and work your plan. So how many connections, what type of connections, how often are we going to connect with those people, and what are those connections going to cost? You always want to stay top of mind, which means you want a 30 to 40 touch connection plan to be highly effective, right? So that's going to be a combination, as we mentioned, of different types of connections, which have the greatest impact. So it'll be a mix of things like direct mail, email, text messaging, personal calls or visits, and social media. Okay, so we're going to go over, I'm going to detail out for you a kind of a 36 plus touch campaign that you can utilize in your business, which will take all of those things we just talked about into account and show you how to interact with them with each of those steps. So you also need to make sure that you create a successful business plan. We talked about that during the month of October. We went into great detail on setting up your business plan. Those trainings were recorded. I know that Ed also taught at the beginning of November on setting up your business plan. If you need help doing that, please reach out. I'm happy to help you set up your business plan. That's going to be your fundamental portion of your real estate business. And the basis of that plan should be your database, right? Anytime I talk about lead gen, I'm always like database first. And I will continue to preach that over and over and over again. Okay. In addition, you want to make sure you're tracking your results. Okay. Hold every number accountable. Make course corrections as needed throughout the year. When we did our business planning, we talked about the 12-week year where we kind of reevaluate our business every 12 weeks or once a quarter, and make sure that we're on track to hit our goals. What changes do we need to make, right? And if we're tracking our results, it makes it way easier to do that. So how many interactions, what results are you getting? Where's your business coming from? So we want to make sure that we have those numbers. In fact, as part of that business planning, I even provided you with a tracking spreadsheet where you can plug all those numbers into. So I tried to make it as easy as possible, depending on what you've decided to do. Okay. So most agents don't track, and that often correlates to failure, right? We end up throwing like money at stuff where we're not getting a return on investment. We're doing results where we may need to tweak, right? If you're like, well, man, I've got my tracking. I've called everybody in my database for the past 2 quarters. Like I'm following the plan, but I'm just not getting results. Then we know that we need to tweak your process and your approach, right? So it's not the actions that we need to tweak, it's the approach. So by tracking things, we can know where to dive in and how to fix your business to get you the results that you want. The 4 irrefutable laws of the database are: build it, feed it daily, nurture it, and maintain it, right? Seems pretty simple. We want to build it. You got to put in the effort up front to get everybody in there, to get their information in there, make sure everything's accurate. We need to feed it. We need to continue to grow that database. Then we need to nurture it. Those are all those interactions or touches that we're going to do. And we need to maintain it. We got to update it when people move. We got to change email addresses, all of those things. So you need to maintain that database. To build your database, right? We have circles of opportunity. So we have that inner circle to the outer circle. We're going to do more interactions with people in that inner circle than people on the outer circle. But some ways to grow it are that outer circle has network groups, cold calls, sign calls, farming, direct mail, online ads, and your website, right? So that's one way to grow it. Those are going to be more cold leads, people we don't know, right? Just random people who walk into an open house, random people who end up on your website that click on online ads. Those are going to be the hardest people to connect with to convert into clients. Okay. The next one, so those are our not connected people that we are trying to connect with. The next circle are people that we're connected with, but maybe haven't done business with us yet, right? So those would be our neighbors, maybe people we interact with on a business level, a service level, maybe our doctors, dentist, chiropractor, maybe family activities or groups, social media, past coworkers, businesses you use, which I just touched on, community and civic, and then maybe like church or religious, right? So people that we interact with, that would be our circle of influence there. That kind of that center one is your circle of influence that we're connected with, but they haven't done business with us yet. We want to convert them into clients as well. And then we've got our inner circle, which is our past clients, friends, and family. Those are our people we have connected with. They've either referred people to us, they would use us. If somebody said real estate, they say Claudia, right? So that's that inner circle. And that's how we want to build our database. So when we build it, we want to categorize it, right? We want to separate our contacts by type so that we can send different messages by group. So we may want to tag them. It's really handy if your database has the ability to tag people. So you may want to tag people as like past clients or friends or family, or maybe you want to group them by buyers versus sellers, right? Renters versus homeowners, right? So we can send messages specific to those different groups. Okay, we want to separate our contacts by source so that we can identify potential customers versus referral sources. Okay. And then we want to make sure that we take notes every time we interact with those people in our database. We should be adding notes to their file. So the next time we open it up, we know exactly what the conversation was that we had and exactly how to pick up on the next conversation with them, or what kind of social media interaction we need to have, or text message that's going to be sent. Okay. So some different ideas of ways to organize them or separate them by source could be circle of influence, past clients, farms, right? Your number one fans, or those people that are going to send you referrals, maybe your buyer leads, seller leads, business farm, right? Those that you're trying to create business relationships with, vendors, make sure they're in your database, escrow officers, loan officers, right? So we might want to have all those different sources. It might be online leads, right? So we just want to make sure we mark all of those people. All right. We want to make sure that we feed our database daily. So we always want to add people in. A super simple 1-minute script example that we can utilize when we're having conversations with people. We run into somebody in the grocery store, we make some phone calls, whatever it might be, hello, my name is Amy. From time to time, I want to run across useful updates about the Solano County real estate market. I'm happy to send them to you. Is email or snail mail better for you? Right? We didn't say, hey, do you want it? We just said, hey, do you prefer email or snail mail? Right? Ask for their contact information rather than offering them yours. It's oftentimes we run into people, maybe we standing in line at like Home Depot, and we run into somebody and they're like, oh man, yeah, my neighbor is thinking about selling their house. Can I get your information so I can pass it along? And you're like, sure, no problem. And you hand them a card, right? Better option would be, oh, I'm so sorry. I don't have any cards on me right now. Can I get your information and I'll reach out to you with my contact information, right? So now we've captured their information, and that puts us in charge of that conversation. Okay, we can follow up with them rather than sitting by the phone and hoping that they call us. So ask for their contact information rather than offering them yours. The I forgot my card thing works really well, or I don't have any on me right now. Okay, then we want to nurture, right? So we're going to build our database. We're going to add to our database, and then we want to nurture our database. So we want to have a consistent message. We want to make sure it's branded with our information. If you have a logo, all of your communication should have that logo on it. It should have your name on it. And we really want to be building personal connections or building relationships. Okay. So, using a systematic approach allows you for your contacts to become automatically seasoned without being overwhelmed, right? So if we're systematic in it, then it's not like, oh my gosh, I can't remember when I called so-and-so last. Should I call them now? Oh, darn it, I called them last week. Now I'm calling them again, right? We don't want people to be overwhelmed. We want to trickle in connections with them and have them kind of spaced out systematically, so that, again, they don't feel overwhelmed and block us or stop answering our phone calls. Okay. It's always good when we start connecting with people that maybe even we send out like an announcement letter, either via email, postcard, handwritten note, right? That announces that, hey, I'm in real estate, right? If we haven't even gone that far, especially if you're new in real estate, sending something out that says, hey, I'm new, or hey, I've switched companies, or hey, just a reminder, I know the market sucks right now, or everybody says the market sucks right now, but now's a great time to get into the real estate market, right? And send that out with people just as a reminder that, hey, I'm in real estate, or to let them know if you haven't done that previously. I think it's a good idea to do actually all of these, to send out like an announcement letter or postcard. I'd probably do a letter or postcard. And then send out an email as well. You can do an email blast. Most databases allow you to do an email blast, or you can do something like Constant Contact or MailChimp, where it allows you to do that as well. It's a personal handwritten note is always a good idea. And then I would follow it up with a phone call, right? So if we're sending these out, you may want to send them out in stages. Because as you'll see here in a minute, we're going to roll out our interaction campaign kind of in a quarterly fashion, where we're reaching out to people on a monthly basis. So we may want to send these out to people first as our month 1 activity, and then do a phone call as the month 2 to follow up with it. So just something to keep in mind, or I might want to mail everything out now and follow up with those people this month, but I may want to break my database up, because if you've got 300 or 400 people in your database, calling them all this month might feel overwhelming to you. It might actually be overwhelming. So breaking that into the next 3 months might be helpful. And I would do the same thing with this if we're going to break our phone calls up. Okay, any questions so far?
No, thank you.
Fabulous. All right. For social media, please interact with your people on social media. You can actually, on your social media page, you can create lists of people so that you can like target them with your posts. How cool is that, right? So you could target like friends or family, so you can categorize all your people onto lists, which is helpful. But the goal social media, or you aren't interacting very well, that's a good starting point to get you moving in the right direction. Okay, so comment on people's posts daily, like people's comments daily, three, and then make sure you have 3 posts per week. On your 3 posts per week, if it's on your personal page, you should aim for the 80-20 rule. 80% personal, 20% business. And on your business page, it's going to be 80% business, 20% personal. Even on your business page, people want to know that you're a real person. So never hesitate to let them know that you're a real person. And if you can intertwine business and personal, especially on your personal page, that's even better. So if you can be like, oh my gosh, check out this amazing view that I had today while showing properties. I never get tired of this, right? Something like that, where you're interacting, or, oh my gosh, I love being a real estate agent because it allows me the freedom to go to my kids' sports games. Instead of having to work a 9 to 5, right? So just like drop it in there that, hey, I'm a realtor. Hey, I'm a realtor on your personal stuff as well. If you can tweak it in there together, you can do the same thing on your business page. All right. So we also want to make sure that we maintain that database. So, right, we're going to build it, add to it, systematically connect with it, and then we want to maintain it. Okay. So some of the things that you can do to maintain your database is we always want to either be, remember we showed that circle earlier today where you had people on the outside and then the middle circle and then the inner circle. We need to tag them appropriately, whether it's like A, B, and C, or like gold, silver, bronze, or like VIP, whatever. Something to that effect, right? So that we need to tag them, and we always want to be moving those people in and out. So somebody who decided to sell they maybe were in our inner circle and they decided to use another agent, maybe we kick them out to like a bronze customer versus a gold, right? Or maybe they're not part of the VIP anymore. So we always want to be updating, moving people in, moving people out. Keep in mind too that you don't have to do business with everybody. Okay, it's okay to say no. If you've got horrible people, it's usually family that you're like, man, I wouldn't want to sell their house for them even if they asked me. That's okay. Refer them to somebody else. We can keep them in our database, keep them on that outer circle, tag them with don't do business so that you know to refer them out when they call you again, right? It's okay to do that. You want to make sure we update addresses, phone numbers, etc., and that we are constantly working to fill in missing information for clients, and that we're making notes on missing information. If your database allows you to tag your people, sometimes it's really easy to sort people by like phone number or email address or address, and then you can tag them like no email, no phone number, no address. And then that way it makes it really easy to search by tags and know that this week I'm trying to fill in phone numbers, or this week I'm trying to fill in emails or addresses, right? Whatever that is, you can dig in and make sure that you're filling in that information. Claudia asked if there was a platform that we use to, that has all the social media sites where you can comment. Like, social media doesn't like that, Claudia. There used to be a few. There was like Hootsuite, and there was another one where you could kind of pull all your social media together and send out posts to all of them at the same time. However, that screws with the algorithms of the social media platforms because they don't like you doing that. Facebook specifically and Instagram, they don't like you cutting corners. So they don't like you. Yeah, haters, they don't like you cheating the system. So that's really what it comes down to. So no, there's no real easy way to do that. I'm sorry. Let's see here. We want to systematically connect with your database. So statistics show that 48% of salespeople never follow up with their prospects. We talked about that yesterday too, about orphaned clients. Like when we talked about creating clients for life. And when we have a listing and we sell it and the buyers move in, to add those buyers to our database and stay in connection with them, go buy an offer to send them over a copy of their home warranty or your information, right? So that they can stay in contact with you and add them to your database, because 48% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect. And I understand that's a prospect, but if you look at the NAR Association of Realtors, like, hey, yes, I would use the same agent, and no, I actually didn't use the same agent. It's like in the teens, I think, or the single digits of people that actually use the same agent again. So we can pick up orphaned people. All right, 48% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect, which means we need to have a system in place to make sure that we don't lose anybody. 25% of salespeople make a second contact and stop, and only 10% make more than 3 contacts. Okay, and then here's how that rolls out and what that looks like. 2% of sales, only 2% of sales are made on the first contact. Okay, 3% of sales are made on the second contact. Okay, so remember that most people stop. 48% never follow up. 25% make a second contact, make it to the second contact and stop. And then 12% make it to 3 contacts. So at 3 contacts, only 5% of sales, right? So now we're at like 9% of sales make it to the 3rd contact. So that's 91% of sales are made after that. 10% of sales are made on the 4th contact, and 80% of our sales are done on the 5th to 12th contact. Statistics say that it takes about 8 contacts on average to, I don't know how to lower my hand, 8 contacts on average to get that person as a client. Okay, 8. So never give up on people. How many attempts are you prepared to make, right? So if you make 1 attempt to contact a lead, you've already done more than half your competition. If you make the lead, you've done more than 75% of your competition. And if you make 3 attempts to contact a lead, you've done more than 88% of your competition. So if you make more than 3 attempts, you've done more than 90% of your competition. So speaking, it's not difficult to set yourself apart from the competition. It just has to have a systematic process in place. Okay. All right. I like to introduce an 8x8 campaign for all new people added to my database. So if I go host an open house, if somebody calls off a sign, whatever it is, I'm going to put them on an 8x8 campaign with the goal to get people to respond. Okay, I'm going to make 8 attempts to connect with them 1 time per week for 8 weeks. And I actually do it a step above that. When I first add somebody to my database, if I haven't had an actual phone call with them after adding them, that first week, I'm probably going to reach out to them every day with a combination of phone calls, text messages, and emails. Okay, phone calls, text messages, and emails. And maybe even if I have their address, I'm going to send them a card. Okay, that first week, I'm going to be in there every single day trying to get them to respond to me. As soon as they respond, then I'm going to move them into the next step. Same idea with an 8x8. Any new leads added, if they don't connect with me during that first week of daily contacts, then I move them to that 8x8, where once a week, I'm going to reach out to them in a systematic way to try to get them to respond. It's going to be a mix, again, of emails, phone calls, and text messages, and maybe even social media interactions. Okay, my goal is to give them something that's going to want them to respond to me. Okay, so it's not just going to be like, oh, hi, Amanda, good to see you. It's going to be like, hey, Amanda, good to see you. Did you find I know you were looking at open houses last weekend. Did you find one that you wanted to put an offer in on? Right? Let's get them to respond. And even better if it can be more than an open-ended question where they have to elaborate. Okay. Or it may be offering them something of value. Like oftentimes when people pass through my open houses, day one, I'm going to send them a video. Thank you for passing through my open house with a part of the feature of the house that I hosted open in the background. Everybody gets that video. Thank you so much for passing through my open house today. I really appreciate it. If you have any other needs regarding or questions regarding this house or any other home on the market, I'd be happy to help you with your home buying process. Please just reach out if you need anything. Have a great day, right? So like day one might just be that. Okay. Day two might be, hey, I'm setting them up on a property search based on what we talked about during the open house or based on the open house itself if we didn't have a really good conversation. So if they're going to start getting drift of properties on a regular basis. Day number 3, I might send them a text message. Hey, Yolanda, I just wanted to let you know that I set you up with a search campaign for homes up to 600,000 in the Vacaville area that have 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. Do you want me to change that or tweak it in any way? I'd be happy to do so. Just reach out and then, shoot that over to them via text. Right? Or I might do the email and the text on the same day and then call them the day number 3 to let them know that I set them up. I'm trying to get them to respond. I'm trying to provide them with stuff. And maybe day 4 might be, hey, just wanted to touch base. I can't remember. Were you already pre-approved for your home purchase or would you like a referral for a local lender that can help walk you through what programs you might qualify for? Right? Day number 5, we might call them again, right? So we're just going to keep going. One of the days, I'm probably going to go in there and find a house that I think that's new on the market that I think might work for them and say, hey, Claudia, I found this property, just came on the market today, or it's not even on the market yet. Do you think this kind of property would work for you? Right? Or what do you like about this property? Or what do you not like about this property? Right? So we could ask questions like that to try to get a response. Again, that first week, it's probably going to be at least 5 contacts, if not 7 on a daily basis through that first week. Then I'm going to roll them to this 8x8 campaign. Okay, once we finish the 8x8 campaign with a goal to get them to respond, if they still haven't responded to us, I am not giving up on them. We are going to roll them over to what we call a 19 to connect. Okay, our goal still is to get them to respond and start interacting with us. And we're going to make a minimum of 19 attempts to connect with them each year. Okay, what those look like is it's going to be 4 phone calls. So I'm going to call them now instead of daily or weekly. They're going to get a phone call once per quarter. Okay, I do recommend what I call the 3-step approach, which I will go into here in a little bit, but 4 phone calls, 1 per quarter. 12 emails, 1 per month of something to bring them value, like a newsletter, home buyer tips, whatever it might be, home listing tips. You might combine them onto one newsletter, like tips for buyers, tips for sellers, prepping your home, right? Preparing for purchasing, whatever that is. Send them something that brings them value per email or by email per month. We want to invite them to 1 event per year. So it could be like a national night out. It could be neighborhood garage sale. It could be lots of things. And then we're also going to send them 2 mailers. And if you don't have their address, that's going to prove to be a little bit more difficult. So we'll need to tweak our contacts a little bit to help us to obtain their addresses. Now, keep in mind that if they do own a home, it's really easy to search title records. So try to find their information and find their home address. Okay. Any questions about this? Okay, we can level this up a little bit as, oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying no questions.
Okay, perfect. So 19 to connect. If at any time during my first weeks of contacts or my 8x8 campaign, they start responding, then I'm going to move them off that campaign and move them to the next step. Now, in addition to our 19 to connect, our phone calls, our emails, our invites, and our mailers, just so you know, if they are searching for a property, if they came through an open house or something, and I know they're looking to buy a property, I'm also going to set them up on a property search. Okay, and it might just be kind of a vague, like citywide one if I don't know the specifics, but I want to be dripping on them on a regular basis with properties so that when one pops up that they're like, oh my gosh, I really like this, that they call me, they don't call somebody else. So I'm always going to set them up on that property search as well. If it was a potential seller and I have their address or I can track down their address, then I'm going to put them on a neighborhood update just to keep them up to date once a month of what's going on in their neighborhood. Again, my goal is to stay top of mind, and I'm going to stagger it on the emails with the when the email goes out and when that monthly neighborhood nurture goes out. Okay, so just a couple little bonus items there. Once they start responding to the 8x8 or the 19 to connect, or my first, like I'll call it a 5x5, my one contact per day for 5 days, then we're going to move them to a 36 to convert. So it was a 19 to connect. We don't want to spend as much energy and effort on 19 to connects. We're trying to get them to respond to us. We're trying to get them to answer, but there's no guarantee they actually are. Once they start responding to us, then we move them, and we're going to spend a little bit more time and energy on them with our 19 to convert. Our goal here is no longer to get them to respond because they've already done that. Our goal is to get them to buy, sell, invest, or refer people to us. Okay. And we want to do a minimum of 36 interactions with them on an annual basis. That's going to be 4 phone calls, 1 per quarter. Again, I still recommend the 3-step approach, which I'll go over. We're going to send them 24 emails, or 2 per month. It says 1 per month there. It should be 2 per month to bring value. Usually that's like a neighborhood update and a newsletter. Okay. We're also going to do 2 event invites. So we want to host 2 events each year. One could be, we talked about this a little bit yesterday as well, an event where they come to you. Maybe you're doing like a hot cocoa bar at the office. Maybe you're doing Santa pictures or whatever it might be, event. And then also maybe one that they go to that's like a bigger event where there's a large group of people. 4 mailed items or pop buys. So 1 per quarter. I always recommend that one of those be a detailed market analysis report of their property if they own a home. And then at least 2 cards. I would probably say 4 cards per year. One would be a home anniversary. One would be a birthday card. And then 1 or 2 others for holidays. And again, I mentioned yesterday, I'm not a fan of Christmas cards when it comes to business because people are getting a lot of Christmas cards. You could do one closer to Thanksgiving and call it like a holiday card, right? And cover all the holidays. That would be cool. But I feel like you get lost in the shuffle with a Christmas card as a business owner. So I would pick a couple other random holidays like April Fool's Day and who knows what else. Pick one. Okay. So just something fun. Happy Halloween card. Who knows? And when we connect with them on those 4 phone calls, we want to use what we call a Ford sandwich. So family, occupation, recreation, dreams. We're going to start with the Ford, then we're going to go into business and then close with Ford. So we want to get to know them and build relationships. So we're going to ask them questions, and it doesn't have to be on all 4 of these things, but we're going to ask them questions about their family, occupation, recreation, or dreams. Like, what do they have planned for the future? Where are they going on vacation? How's work going? How's the family, right? Then we're going to dive into the business portion of our phone call, and then we're going to close up with wrapping it up, circling back around to what we discussed at the beginning of the call with regards to their family, occupation, recreation, and dreams, that Ford sandwich. Okay, the 3-step approach is step 1 is we call and leave a message. So like if I had people that I was supposed to connect with this week, I would call them on like Monday or Tuesday. Okay. And I'm going to leave, if they don't answer, I'm going to leave a message. Oh, hey, Amanda, this is Amy. I was just calling to touch base with you. I'll try you later this week, right? Hey, heads up, I'm going to try you later on. Then if I called them Monday or Tuesday, then I'm going to make the next call like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, somewhere in that realm. And if they don't answer, same thing. I'm going to leave probably both a message and a text message at this point and just be like, hey, Amanda, it's Amy again. I was just hoping to connect with you. I'll try you again later. I'm going to send them a text message that says the same thing. Hey, Amanda, it's Amy. I missed you today. So sorry. I'll try to give you a call later this week. Okay. My goal is to like, hey, heads up, I'm going to call. Please answer. Call number 3 is I'm going to leave a message and send text as well. So like I'm going to space them out on 3 different days throughout the week. And it could be like a day in between. So it could be like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It could be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It could be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It doesn't make a difference. Just space them out. Call number 3. If they don't answer, I'm going to leave a message. Hey, Amanda, it's Amy again. I'm so sorry I missed you this week. please reach out to me if you have any needs that are real estate related or for anything else. I'm here to help. Right? I'm just going to let them off the hook again. And I'm going to remind them that I'm in real estate. I'm going to send them a text message that says the same thing. And I'm letting myself off the hook from calling them again. Okay. And now I'm going to move on. I'm not going to worry about calling Amanda again for another 3 months. Okay. Does that make sense to everybody? So 3-step approach. You get 3 chances this week to connect with me. And if we don't connect, you just go on the list to connect in another 3 months. All right. In addition to this, hold on, let me see if I can exit this.
Amy, I had a question on that.
Yep.
I did have, he was actually an old roommate reach out to me about buying, and I did that same process, like, you know, phone call, voicemail, text, follow up, you know, letting him know I was going to call him again. I did voicemail again, text, and nothing. So you would recommend, like, you know, getting an email and an address and kind of all the info in order to follow up, or should I do a phone follow up in a few months?
So what I would do is if somebody reached out to me saying that, hey, they were thinking about buying or selling, I would do the 3-step approach, and then I'd probably move them to like an 8x8 where I contact them once a week for like 8 weeks, trying to get them to respond back again, because they did raise their hand like, hey, I'm ready to buy or sell, or I'm thinking about it. So we want to make sure that we put that effort forth, but we don't want to overwhelm them again. So I would go with that 3-step approach, like you said, and then kind of move them to like reach out once a week for about the next 8 weeks or so. And then if they don't connect, then I just would move them over to that 36 to convert the emails, quarterly phone calls, and that and the like.
Okay. And since I don't have his address and email, you think that's overstepping to ask for that now, even though I haven't heard back, or you think
Oh,
I
no,
should
I would
just...
absolutely reach out for it.
Okay, perfect.
Absolutely. Yep. Let's see here. In addition to the phone calls, if you really wanted to step up your game, I would do the, here's that 3-step approach. I would do a 5-5-5 plan. Okay. So especially for those 36 interactions on an annual basis, those people that are like in my inner circle, or those people that I'm really working to convert into clients, I would do this 5-5-5 approach, which is you're going to take the total number of contacts in your database, divide it by the number of working days in the quarter. So on average, you have 3 months, 4 weeks is 5 days. I recommend calculating based on 4 days to account for sick, vacation, or missed days. So 3 months, 4 weeks per month, 12 weeks, 4 days per week would be 48 days per quarter. So then you take your total number of contacts and divide it by 48, which would mean 4 per day. So each day you're going to make it a goal to connect with 4 people. Okay. So if you want to know how to break your database down, that's how I would do it. I would do it based on a quarter and 48 days per quarter. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. Then month 1, I would do that phone call that we just talked about, right? The idea is to simply check in. You can start by talking about what you've seen in the news, ask them how they're doing, acknowledge a significant event like home anniversary, or say congratulations. Right. So just a touch base. If you haven't connected with these people for a while, so a lot of us, we have failed at connecting with our friends, family, and clients. It's okay. Don't even bring up business that phone call. Just make it a check-in. Hey, so sorry I failed to connect with you on a personal level recently. I just wanted to check in and see how things were going, right? It's okay to do that. And leave business out of it. Oftentimes it'll naturally come in. You're asking them what they're still doing for a job. They'll ask you, right? And it works that way. The best way to do this is just start at the top of your list and call until you get the number of people to answer according to your plan, right? Using the 3-step approach detailed above. When you talk with somebody, you're going to add them to the drip to complete the remaining steps, and then repeat month 4, starting with a phone call after the first interaction. The future will be according to a systematic repeat. So what that means is, like, on my first time through my database, if I haven't been calling my database, I'm just going to start at the top with a goal to connect with 4 people per day. So I actually want to try to have 4 conversations. Okay. So I'm just going to call through my database and see who's going to answer. Who are my top people that are actually going to answer the phone call? And I'm going to go until I get 4 people to answer today, tomorrow, the next day. Now, as we move through, we're going to run out of people that are answering the phone calls, which is where we're going to shift over to that 3-step approach. And then once we hit the 3-step approach, you just call, leave the message, hang up, call, text, right? So some of those people are never going to answer your phone call, and that's okay. We're just going to do that 3-step approach and then move on once we run out, once we hit that bottom of the list and we stop getting people that answer. Okay. And then once somebody answers, we're going to put them on the drip to connect with them again in 3 months, right? So if this was January, February, March, it would be a phone call again in April. Okay, now in April, when it comes time to call that person again, I'm just going to start with that 3-step approach. If they don't answer, it's okay. But this is just going to set me up for success, starting with month 1 to get the most responses. Or you could just go with 4 people a day, 3-step approach. So for the total of the week, if you've got, I would just start with 5 days a week, even though we calculated it based on 4, because at some point we're going to miss a day. So each week, your intention is to connect with 20 people. You could just call 20 people on day 1, do the 3-step approach, and then move on. So there's no wrong or right way to do this. Okay. If we want to step up our game, we're not going to call these people again for 3 more months. But month 2, we could have a social media exchange with them, right? We're going to connect on social media and interact with the client. So remember, in the digital world, likes are like high fives. Well, comments are similar to virtual hugs. So always give a compliment and ask a question. Did your client post an image of themselves building a blanket fort with their children? Pop in and ask, say, hey, that's adorable. Glad to see you and your little ones are having so much fun, right? Like, the goal is to pursue an exchange. So you also want to ask a question with that. Is that something you do on a regular basis? Or, wow, how did you learn to build such great blanket forts, right? So something like interact with them, get them to respond to your comment. Okay, so that would be month 2. And then month 3 would be a handwritten note or a text message. Send them something out in the mail or send them over a text message. It could be something as simple as like sending a note that says, hey, I hope you and your family are doing well, right? The text message could be something like, I was just in your neighborhood with new buyers and thought about you. I hope everything is great. Right? Just an interaction. We're setting them up that they're going to answer our phone call the next month, because that's going to be month 1, month 2, month 3, and then month 4 is our phone call month again. Okay. So that's why they call it like a 5-5-5. The original thought was that you would call and have interactions with 5 people on a daily basis, and then you repeat that. So today I talked to 5 people. Next month, those 5 people get a social media interaction. And the next month, those 5 people on this day get a handwritten note or a text message. And I would just take your whole database and divide it by 48 and then break it down by week. Okay. And then do month 1, they get a phone call. Month 2, they get a social media interaction. Month 3, they get a handwritten note or text. Now, keep in mind that at 200 contacts, 4 per day, we are not going to contact all of them in the first month. Okay. We're only going to contact a third of your database that first month. The second month, we're still calling the database while we're sending the social media interactions with the people we talked to the first month. Month 3, we're calling the third group of your database, right? The bottom third. We're also sending social media interactions with people we talked to the previous month, and the people we talked to the first month are now getting that text or that handwritten card. And then we're just repeating that process. Does that make sense to everybody, or did I totally confuse you? All right, I'm going to assume that made sense to everybody because nobody said I totally confused them. I'm going to copy this link to this document and throw it in the chat box as well. So if you want this.
Thank you, Amy. I was just about to ask for those links.
There's that. So on this document, just so you know, it talks about the database connection, captured versus connected, new leads, putting them on that 8x8. It explains that they're going to stop as soon as they reply. And then our captured leads are going to go to from an 8x8 to a 19 to connect. And it outlines those interactions with them. And then our connected leads, those that start responding to us, go on that 36, that minimum of 36 interactions per year. It gives you the 3-step approach in this document for the phone calls. It talks about the DTD2 schedule. So there's different ways you can contact your database. The 555 is one approach that I use, is you start at the top, call for your number for the week that you need to call. The other option is your DTD2, which is do the database to, and it breaks it down on quarter 1, weeks 1 through 13 by letters of the alphabet. Okay. They have looked at people's by last names and they've grouped them so that you have approximately, based on statistics, the same number of people to call per week. So week 1 would be AW, week 2 would be BE, week 3 would be DO. This one also has that if you are calling AW on week 1, you would be texting people that end in N on that same week. So it's got a text schedule as well. So you can do that if you would like. Then we had that 555 call plan that I just went over, right? So that you kind of have all those tools. Any questions before we wrap up for the day? And did you all find this useful?
It's all of your videos are useful. Your classes, sorry, they are.
Thank you, Yolanda.
A lot of info, but it's great that you record them so we can go back and rewatch. That's super helpful.
Good. And oftentimes, things like this, I'm going to cover this database schedule over and over and over again, because I'm going to beat it into you until you're all actually doing it, because it's going to take you a while to implement and stay on top of it. So we'll cover it again as well. But that tool is in the chat box. So you can grab that link, and then once you click on it, it'll be in your, anytime you log into your Google Drive, if you go to shared with me, you'll find that document again, or you can save that link. There's also a link to log attendance. So if you joined us today, please log your attendance, and then also make sure that there's a little suggested trainings there. If there's something you'd like to see added to the training schedule come the new year, let me know. And then as a reminder, we have our regularly scheduled trainings next week and maybe the week after. And then we're going to dive into our 12 days of systems and processes to bring you results in your business, which we'll wrap up the year with. We'll actually end 2023 and begin 2024 with those 12 days of systems and processes, where we're going to talk about some new and cool and exciting things you can try in your business. Oh, Abby's going to share it on the screen so you guys can see what's coming up. We've got your database holds the key to your future. Don't worry, it's going to be a little different than this one because we're going to dive deeper into it. Step up your database to yield its potential. Lead generation, the only way to grow your business. Leverage listings for leads. We're going to talk about some new ideas and suggestions on that. Farming to grow bigger crops. Social media to expand your reach. Events, have fun, grow your database. Everyone wins. Take your open house from open to out of this world. Get agent referrals. Niche VIP, forget the farm, and quick text on day 10. Grow your business with leverage. And then create an exit plan by building wealth on day 12. Those are going to be 9 a.m. on all of those days. So hopefully you can join us on those as well. It's going to be fun with some new information, some new tidbits and ahas for you to take and implement into your business. Does anybody need anything before we wrap up today? All right, everyone, have a fabulous day. Thank you so much for joining me today. And we'll be back next week with a whole new stream of topics. And keep in mind, too, that we're heading into December. So we're going to have those new December form updates that Carr likes to throw at us at the end of the year. And we'll be covering all of those updates on our forms training classes, which I think I'm bumping those to Tuesday. I think they'll be on Tuesdays now at 10:30. So just a heads up and watch for those, because those are important, and we don't want to trip you up at the end of the year trying to write offers at the last minute. So we'll get you those updates.
Thank you.
Have a fabulous day.